Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on your location. I hope everyone can hear me. I hope everyone can hear me. Please, if you can hear me, signify. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening. So I'm just going to wait for more people to join and then we can start. I think there are about 2 people on the call right now. So I'm just going to wait for more people to join. So if you're just joining, hello. We are waiting for more people to join. So we'll probably start by 3:07, most likely. So I hope everyone can hear me just in case, and also see my screen because I'm sharing my screen also. Yeah, so for some reasons, we have very little people on the call. So I am just going to send a reminder on Slack. So I have notified the group, so we'll be starting in about 2 minutes. Okay. Um, just give me a second. So I hope everyone can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, so I believe we can start now. It's already 3:08. I think there's a message. Okay, I would answer your question once we start doing. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to today's office hours, and as usual, we'll be talking about Python and Django. So this week we are covering model, view, and templates. So if you watched the first introduction to Django video, I mentioned or I talked about an architectural pattern called the MVC architecture. So I talked about the model, the view, and the controller. I also talked about the Django's architecture, which is the MTV on the MVT architecture, the model template view. So this week we'll be covering more on the MVT or the MTV. So we'll be talking about models, templates, and views. Now, I need to mention this very early. So, can everyone hear me, just to be sure? Just to be sure, can everyone hear me? Uh, okay, okay, awesome. Okay, so I need to say something before we move ahead. So if you notice the curriculum or probably the task, like the task list, stopped at week 6, which is APIs, Django REST framework. Now, this week is supposed to be dedicated for the models, the views, and the templates. But frankly speaking, it is not enough to cover views and templates. So what I did was, because we have, after week 6, we have like 2 more weeks of learning. So what I did was I made sure we have an idea of the views and the template, because before you can actually build APIs in Django, you need to understand views. So we are going to be talking about views more this week. Then the last 2 weeks, we'll be focusing more on the views and the templates. So we'll touch on the model, the view, and the template this week. Then next week, we'll move to API. Then the last 2 weeks, we will probably get new sets of tasks regarding views and templates. So the reason why I did it that way was because there is actually no video on the Shuri YouTube channel yet for views. I don't think there's any specific, at least I couldn't find one. I will search again, but I don't think there is any on just templates and views. So I would actually be teaching the views like in the live class. And also because we are moving deeper into Django, and there is need for a little bit of interactivity between, or interaction between I and you guys. We most likely will be moving into Zoom for some of the classes, not just YouTube. So I will need you to actually explain your errors and explain what you don't understand using your words, and also sharing your screen from time to time. So I guess we'll start that tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, we most likely would use Zoom, but I'm not really sure about that, but yeah. So if you are going to be using Zoom, it should be in your calendar. So it should be added to your calendar. We'll also be streaming live for those who would not be able to attend, obviously. But yes, we most likely will be moving into Zoom. So just to accommodate questions and stuff like that. So yeah, someone asked the question. While we are waiting, I noticed that when using terminal, in VS, I can't activate my VM or my VM, but using CMD. Okay, so in order for you to do that, there is in order for you to actually use your, I'm calling, give me a second, please. Okay, so I believe everyone can still hear me. So in order for you to actually use your virtual environment, like your virtual VM or virtual environment on PowerShell, you need to override an execution policy. So just Google, I think it's set execution policy or something like that. So you need to do that for you to be able to use virtual env on PowerShell. So could you talk about models with foreign keys and integers? I'm having issues. Okay, so I'll look into that. Now, okay, so just also be clear, I will not be talking a lot about models this week because I believe the videos themselves are very self-explanatory. So I will not be talking about models that much. I will be talking a lot about views and templates, just a little on models, but I won't be going to because I believe the videos covered models, it covers CRUD, create, read, update, and delete, and some other things, I think. I really can't remember. Then, yeah. So, but I will look, I would explain that. Where are we supposed to stop in the task? Is after migration, and also is it a continuation of last week's task? Okay, so I believe the task specified what you needed to do. Like it specified everything you needed to do. So, and to be fair, I can't even remember the task. And let me check what the task is exactly. Just give me a second. I'll check that soon. But I believe it says all this task specified where you should stop. So I believe it is having a model, specifying your model in your models of py file, and yeah, you are going to be specifying the relationship and also the types of field for each entity, or for each attribute rather. Okay, so is there any other question? Is week 5 not a continuation of, okay, yeah, I think that's like I think, okay, so week 5 is actually a continuation of this 4 task. So you do it in the same in the same project. It is exactly the same. That is why they have the same name. And if you look at it, there's like a relationship between both of them. So it is a continuation. You are not pushing it to a separate or a different branch. You are using the same project. Um, is where are we to stop in the task? Are we to fill the names and songs? I think I've said this. Okay, so the task is I'm not concerned about the data you have. Like, as long as your code runs, your code works. I'm not really concerned if you have songs or artists or whatever in the database, just for your code to work. And week 6 will actually ensure that, because for you to be able to build your APIs, you need to have data in your database. So for you to be able to list out those data, you need to have them in your database already to display them in the API. So yeah, so just give me a second. I want to connect my second screen so that I'll be able to share my own screen and also see the monitor the chat. Okay, so while I do that, I can still take questions. So if you have more questions regarding this week's task, you can shoot. So also I think I can ask this now. So is everyone enjoying Django so far? How has Django been? Okay, so I think uh hello, can everyone still hear me? Okay, so a bit technical, but I believe it will get easier as time goes on. Django has been very demanding. Yeah. So okay, so I'm coming. Um, I really can't get the link. So someone said I should send the link. Uh, okay, so I believe I can share my screen now and also my VS Code. the expectation of this week's task. Um, so this week, did I explain the expectation? I don't think I explained the expectation, did I? So this week is just for you to specify the um let me pull up the task. I'm not sure I even so the task says I'm confused. I'm trying to send links to someone. So, okay. Okay, so the task says that sorry, just trying to look for the so week 6 or week 5 rather, not week 6. Uh, oh, I'm no longer sharing my screen. Oh, okay, so the task is we'll be building a simple CRUD application in our models.py file. So you should have the music app already in your project. So I don't think you'll be creating that again. So you should have 3 models. You should have the artist, the song, and the lyric model. Now, the artist should have 3 fields or 3 attributes: the first name, the last name, and the age. Now, an attribute or a field represents a column here in your table. So the artist should have 3 fields: first name, last name, and age. A song should have 4 fields: title, date released, likes, and an artist ID. Okay, so I think I get the complication or the misunderstanding with all the errors everyone has been having here, because I specified a separate field called artist underscore ID. Now, take note, the artist underscore ID is not a field, like it's not like a character field or an integer field or something like that. It is a foreign key field. Yeah. And the song ID. The reason why I specified it like that is Django does not actually save your foreign key field the way you specify them in your models.py file. Django saves it with an underscore ID as a suffix. So that is why I did it like that. Then lyric has the content and song ID. So this is actually now that I look at it, this is actually very simple for a task, because there is really nothing there anymore. Like that's just the task. So you need to specify the relationship between all 3 models. Then you also have to be the one to specify the fields, or the field types rather, for each attribute. So it was they will require to fill data in those attributes as per the assignment. So I already said this before that for this week, I'm really not concerned about the data you have. It's just for you to be able to specify the model. But for next week, because you'll be building an API and you should actually have um, data in your database, you would be required to have like actual data. So you will be what's it called? You'll be seeding your database. For those of you that don't want to manually start adding data one by one, you can seed your database. So I think you should Google how to seed a database in Django. So for those of you who do not know what seeding is actually uh, filling your database with data without having to manually write them, like actually input them from your admin or from any interface. So you write a command, you specify the data as a JSON file, and you um, seed the database with it. Okay, so I will be sharing my VS Code now. So I think last week we were working on a project called Fireflies. I don't know who came up with that name, but okay, so now I want to make some corrections there from last week. Um, so just wait, I'll share my screen and I'll I'm coming. I'm trying to just give me a second. I'm trying to get something on my computer. I'm looking for a project. No, I don't think you'd have another opportunity to resubmit an assignment. No task will be reopened as of now. Okay, we have okay. Yeah, you can add the artist song, and I expect everyone to add them to the admin site because that is actually part of it. So I expect you to add the artist song and lyrics to admin site. How do we do then when next task involve the previous one? Just submit the next task. Okay, so I think I can share my screen now. Can everyone see my screen? I believe everyone can see my screen now. So this was what we were working on last week. Yeah, I believe this was what we were working on last week. So we have not really done anything yet. But before we move further, so last week I said something here. I mentioned that we could, or we should only have one virtual environment for our projects. Yeah, ideally we should. But there are some cases when we can have multiple virtual environment, and I'll just mention a case like that. So let's say we are actually testing a package or a dependency, and we need to know if that is what we actually need for our project. It would not be nice to plug your main virtual environment with dependencies and packages that you are working on, and like the main one for your project. So ideally, what you can do in that case is you can have another virtual environment for testing purposes where you can just test, because when you have a virtual environment and you start adding dependencies or packages into it, and when you get to build them, you find out that they have, like, the virtual environment catches those dependencies. So you still have catched versions of those packages, and it kind of litters your virtual environment. So ideally, you can have a separate virtual environment where you can have those dependencies, or where you can have those packages there, test it, and then you can delete the virtual environment. So for that, you can use your virtual env. For pip-env, it is actually very difficult to start having multiple virtual environments per project, because you find out that unlike virtual env or VM, it is not a folder that you can just delete. So here I can just delete it, and my project does not even know that there was a virtual environment there. But pip-env does not work the same way. So you just need to know what you want and how you are going to use it for your project. So we'll be moving on to, okay, so I think the name of the application is Reply. Yeah. So before that, I think I want to demonstrate something real quick. But I'm thinking if I should, because to make it easier, I would use pip-env to demonstrate that. But okay. So let me share this screen. I'm coming. I'm going to stop share and just share my entire screen, because I'll be moving from Chrome to the virtual environment, and to my VS Code rather. So it seems there is no other question from this task or from this week. I believe it's clear. So I think we can all move to views and templates without having to worry much about models. So okay, so just share screen. So I believe everyone can see my browser, my screen. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to show how to use the .env, the .env. So I think this is the .env. In one of the videos, it said Django. Okay, please talk more about the dates formatting a little. I don't think I understand what you mean by date formatting, like the formatting itself. In one of the videos, you said Django gives the ID automatically. Yes, Django does that. No, no. So I want to show duplicate error. Duplicate error in what way? If Django auto increments the ID. So there's a field, I think it is big integer, big auto or auto integer field. Yes, there's auto integer field in Django, and I think that is the field that Django uses for the IDs, bigger auto integer field or auto integer field. So the field increments by one, and that is what Django uses for our ID. So it increments the ID by one. How do we push weekly Python tasks to the GitHub this? Please, for that, you have to watch the last week office hours. I think I did that extensively. Dates, months, year, month, dates, years, dates formatting. That is more about Python, more Python than Django actually. So you can check dates in Python, Python dates. But if you have time, yeah, most likely look at it. Well, there are more important things. Like there are other things now that will take precedence. I will look into this out. So okay, so I was about to show you how to add the virtual. So there's a package called .m. So I'm just going to show you. Give me a second. Okay, so one of last okay, yeah. Okay, please, I have a hard time navigating the elements. I think is there no tutorial on how to navigate the LMS? I think there is one on how to navigate the LMS. One of that should be still probably, yeah, it's undergoing some editing. How to use it in Django. So I think that's like the dates thing. I don't think I understand your question. So how to use this date format in Django? But anyways, we'll look at it, we'll look into it. So there's a package called .m here. I think this is it. Okay, not this one. So okay, I think this is it. So we need to install .m. No, this is not the package I'm looking for. This is not the package. I mean, So this is not the package that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go through Django's packages and type environment variable, and I would see the package. Most times I use PM, so I don't really need to use .m. It is just there automatically. So please, I would request you to give me a minute or two. I need to fix something. Okay. Okay, so sorry, I'm back. So I am just going to, I think, um just search for environments, something like this. Can everyone hear me, please? Where is it? Okay. So yes, okay. So I think this is the package Python dot yeah, I think that was it. Or Django environment. I remember. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to test both packages. So this check the release dates, check when it was last updated. Okay. So I think Django environment or okay. Yep. I think this was what I was looking for. So let's install this. So we are going to start up our virtual environment. Slash create. So let me look at this package python.env. Um, okay, so I think we'll just stick to that one. I think we'll just stick to Django environment. Okay, so I think it has been downloaded already. I'm not updating my feed for now. Let's see where it is. So let's see how to use it. We import environment. So come to the settings.py file, which is here. Yes. So it says we are going to set the environment, which is this. So this will come in here. So let's do this. Let's see if this will work. So let's close up the terminal. Do we install the same also in Ubuntu? Yes, you should. Yeah, you should check if it works for Ubuntu. It should work for Ubuntu too. So just pip3 install pip3 install Django environment should work. So let's try running our server. Let's see what happens when we try to run the server. So let's just wait for the server to run. This will most likely work. You must set allowed. Okay, yeah. So it's working. Yeah. The reason why we are getting this error is because you cannot, so when you are pushing to production, yeah, you are pushing to a server, to a web server, you cannot allow the bug to be true. So we only work with the bug true in development while we are developing our code. If it's in production, it should be false. It should always be false, and it should always be true, rather. What am I saying? In production, it should always be false. In development, it should be true. So yeah, it's working. So what I'll do is I'll take out the secret key. Then I'll put it in my .env. I'll do secret key. Pause this. So got this. Now I have two issues with this. I'm skeptical. I don't know if this will work, and that is because the location of the env file. So let's try this. Let's try this. Let's hope it works. I figured it wouldn't work. So let's see what's printing the values will be. Using pipenv, you don't actually go through all the stress, and I think I will demonstrate that soon. Using pipenv, we actually won't be going through all the stress. Let's rerun our server. I need to see what the value of we've set up our secret key. Is there something? Okay. Set the secret key environment variable. Secret underscore key environment variable. This is it. So I guess it's the location of the env file. So let's see if we move it here. Let's see what it says about the location. I have not read this package at all before. You know what? Let's come back to this. We're taking too much time doing this. Let's come back to this. So what I'll just do is I'll just demonstrate how it is done using pipenv, and then we'll come back to this using virtual env. Because when you're working with your projects, most times you would need to, in fact, all the time, you would need to be using environment variables, especially if it is a code you are working with a team. So it is important I talk about it. So the pipenv shell is Django 2, yeah. So while that is loading, because it will take time to create the virtual environment. So while that is loading, let's move over to what we were supposed to actually discuss. I think we're taking more time talking about other things than actually talking about this week's task or this week's topic. So this week, as usual, we were supposed to talk about models. I will just be creating a sample model. Yeah, we are trying to I was trying to hide the secret key. So before we go into that, you probably, or I don't know if I remember mentioning um, what migrations and making migrations are, like migrations, make migrations and the rest. So we'll talk about them now. So let me start up my server. So now if you notice, yeah, when the pip_env was loading, can you see the first line? It says it is loading the .env environment variables. And that is because when you create your pip_env virtual environment, it checks for a .env file at the directory where you are trying to load it. So while activating the virtual environment, it also loads your .env file. So if I was to not have a .env file here, this line would not show this loading.env environment variables. So like I said, with pip_env, it is actually automatic, like it just automatically loads your .env file for you. Then you have to use os. I will get them. Let's finish loading. So let's run our server. So the migrate command, you would most likely get a message or a warning that says you have 18 unapplied migrations. Now, that is because migrations are like or are like tables. Yeah, when you are migrating your tables from your Django to your database. So you are creating the tables. So we have some commands like the make migrations command, the migrate command, the show migrations command, and SQL migrate command. Now, the migrate command is responsible for applying and unapplying migrations. So you can use the migrate command to apply migration. You can use them to unapply migrations. Now, the make migrations command is a way for Django to create new migrations based on the changes you have made to your model. So if you make a change to your model, you need to run the make migrations command to make sure those changes are applied or are created. Now, the SQL migrate command displays the SQL statement for a particular migration. I'll most likely be demonstrating all of this. Then the show migration command lists the project migration. Let me see if there is. Okay, there is no question. Okay, so I don't know why this is taking time. Oh, it's taking time because we are not in the Fireflies directory. Set the secret key environment. Why am I getting set the secret key environment? I still have this here. Let's run server. Okay. So as you can see, it says you have 18 unapplied migrations. So we need to apply our migration. So I'll just create another. So what I do most times when I am coding is I have like two terminals open because I need one to write my commands and I need one to make sure my server is running. So my screen, I don't think it is big enough. So I'm just going to zoom in. So I hope everyone can see my screen now. A little too big though. Okay, so let's run our command. I don't manage .py migrate. So the reason why I'm running migrate first is because I need to there are migrations already. So you need to apply those migrations. So I think those migrations they've been applied. Where is the YouTube? I need to know if there are questions. Please, can everyone hear me? This link has been dry for a while. So, can everyone hear me, please? Okay, awesome. Sorry. Okay. So, um, I don't like the way this is, so I think I'll just have to stick to one. Let's see if the pipm has finished loading. So the reason why I actually don't like pipm is because it takes a bit of time to load everything. Okay. Oh yeah, it has finished loading. So what I'm going to do is I'll quit the server. I'll quit this. Well, okay, no, I don't need to quit the environment. So I would come back here, deep freeze. Yeah, I need to still download Django. So, you know what? Let's just stick to this guy for now. We'll come back to quick freeze. I need to, this, my command, my terminal is messy. I don't like the way it's messy. So let's stick to virtual name for now. So before the class ends, I would most definitely talk about the environment variables. Okay, so let's use this one for our server. So I'll be creating a simple, I'll be creating a simple model. The model would not really be doing anything. So class Firefly, every model is a class, or every table rather in Django is a class that inherits from the model class or the models class. So you see inheritance in play here. So I believe even if we have not really gone in depth into OOP, we can understand like the Python interpretation of this code. So these are all class variables. So a class variable is actually an attribute or it denotes an attribute in a table. An attribute is like a column. So name, this Firefly has name, color, size, weight, speed, lifespan, diet, habitat, and description. So for now, we really don't need this guy. So get absolute URL, when we are talking about views, class-based views, most likely we'll be looking into that. So let's have another class called habitats. So I'll take this guy out from here. Then I would have a Firefly as a foreign key attributes. A Firefly takes in the foreign key attribute takes in the model. So take notes, your model must always, the model that is B before the model that is actually calling it. So you can't specify habitats before Firefly, you would get an error. Django will throw an error. So we are going to call Firefly. Take notes, you're actually not building anything, it's just for demonstration purposes. So I am really not talking about building new projects here. Now, okay, so I think I should talk a little about this on-delete property. I believe everyone can see my screen, just to be sure. Can everyone see my screen? So now, the on-delete property is it specifies what happens when why are there clashes in model fields? Yeah, online words clashing in model fields. How? I don't understand. Sorry, please. I think you should explain your statement. So the on-delete property specifies what happens when you delete a foreign key attribute. Because think about it. Let's look at this. I have a blog website or a blog application here. And in that application, a user can make comments. So a user can make a post. The user can also make a comment. Yeah. Now, we all know that a foreign key, or let's say a relationship between okay, let me pull up an ER diagram. Let me pull out an ER diagram. Come in. Let me pull out an E diagram to explain a little more about my laptop froze. Why? Okay, so I want to pull up an ER diagram. So just give me a second. I think I used it in so the relationship between an entity is a table, yeah, Now, we have relationship between entities. So we have a one-to-one relationship, a one-to-many relationship, and many-to-many relationship in Django, basically. So a one-to-one relationship is or can be likened to this. We have, for example, a user in like as an entity, as a table in your database. So a user has attributes, first name, last name, um, email, username, and the rest. Now, let's say we have a user profile, because in Django allows, because we have a model in Django called the user model. So let me work a little bit on the terminal. So before that, let me add my admin. So you would see, okay, I don't think I would. Let me go to the terminal. But I need to make you visualize what I am saying. So from Django.tb.models, I think import user. From Django.contrib. Okay, from Django.contrib.auth.models, yeah. I've forgotten. Contrib.auth.models. It's remembering all these packages, Django libraries, a bit hard. So, okay, so now we have user here. So I'm going to create a dummy user. So so most of these commands, I don't think I should be explaining them because they're already explained in the video. So I would just be going over them. So what I feel you don't understand, I would explain, and what you don't understand, please, you can also say it in the comment section. But I believe what I'll be doing is not new to everyone here. So, so user, let's have a simple user equals first name Enny, username, just to differentiate, then email equals and user.save. So I believe when we go to our where's the okay. So I believe when we go to our admin panel /admin, we should see I've not created a super user. Just going to exit, then Python manage.py create super user. Then Let's do this. Okay, so let's come here. Let's reload. I have not looked at the charts. I don't know if there's any question yet. Okay, so under the lyric field, I created song equals, but it's through an error, the field song clashes with the drum model. So I think I said this at the start of this class, why there is a song underscore ID. So I will not be explaining this because this is also the task. So I will not be explaining it. So most likely after the class, you just watch the start of this video and you see. So yeah, I should have two users in my users table. Exactly. The one we created from our Python shell and the super user. So this is the super user and this is the one we created. So I want to explain this in terms of relationship. And I also want to pull up an ER diagram. Okay, so this is the ER diagram. Okay, so this is the ER diagram I was trying to pull out. So now, if you take a look at this, if you take a look at this diagram, I believe everyone can see this diagram. Now, if you take a look at this diagram, there is a school, there is a student, we have faculty, we have departments, we have certificate type, and we have grade. Now, these are all entities in the database. So we can have the school, every school has a name. We have faculty, every faculty has a name. This is like a diagrammatic representation of a simple school DB. Yeah. So I made this some time ago. Now, we have students, we have departments, certificate, depth, and grade. Now, if you look at, there's a relationship between all of these entities. Now, a student has the relationship with the school. A student can only belong to a school, but a school can have many students or can, like more than one student can attend a school. A department or a student can only belong to a department, but a department can have one or many students. Now, the relationship between entities or database relationship can be very complicated. We have one-to-one, one-to-many, zero-to-many, many-to-many, and so on. But in Django, we can only represent three types of relationships. We can only represent a many-to-many relationship, a one-to-many relationship, and a one-to-one relationship. Now, this is just to show you, get you an idea of what an ERD looks like and the relationship. So an ERD specifies a relationship between entities in a database. So in Django, a foreign key relationship or a foreign key talks about a one-to-many relationship. Now, we can have a one-to-one relationship. So if you are specifying a one-to-one relationship, it will be like this. Yeah, I think one-to-one field, then many-to-many field, depending on what we want to do. Now, we are going to use foreign key. So I want to explain one-to-one and many-to-many. So one-to-one, let's say now in this ERT, the student cannot, let's say the school has a portal, an online portal for student registration. The students should be able to register themselves, yeah, or not register themselves. They should be able to log into the school portal, probably check their results and stuff like that. They have a user profile. Basically, they have a user profile. Now, the students can be like, let's say the students, I don't think I can, okay, I think I can edit this. Oh no, I don't want to edit this. How do I edit this? God. I don't want to, I want to edit, so I can't, as long as I've used this app, this platform, I can't remember how to edit again. Okay, edit. Okay. Oh, I've forgotten how to use this. So, anyways, I want to explain how to. So now, let's say you have like this as the entity, like the student entity, and you are building a Django project or a Django application, a web app for their online portal. We are going to have this. But since Django has like this user model, where is it? That we just used here. The Django user model, because Django user model is actually for authentication only. So Django, I think I'll be spending more time in models than intended. Now, this user model you see here, so it is from Django. So Django has a custom user model. Now, this user model is mainly for authentication. Django uses this for authentication. You can't use any other model for authentication besides the Django user model. So Django uses this guy for authentication. Now, this has so many fields. We have first name, last name, email, username, last login. I think you can even see it from I think you can see it from this admin panel here. So email, first name, last name, staff status. You cannot, this is not just where it ends. We have last login, like last time the user was online and stuff like that. So this is what Django uses for authentication. So if you are going to be building an authentication, we are going to use the Django user model. So let me show you the full. So we have username, password, first name, last name, email, active, staff status, super user status, groups, user permission, last login, and dates joined. I believe you can see that. So this is what we use. Well, if you notice, we can't save any other thing here. Let's say we want to save the student's matric number. We can't use this to save the student matric number. Let's say we want to save something like the courses the student is offering. We can't do that. We are only limited to these choices. So Django has a way, or Django recommends creating something like a user profile alongside this user model, such that the user profile only allows you to save additional field that the Django user model does not allow. Now, take notes. We can extend this Django user model. We can actually extend this to allow more fields, but it's not recommended. In fact, extending a Django user model should be before your first migration. It should be before your first migration, basically. So Django does not advise us to extend this. Rather, it advises us to create some sort of user profile model that would allow for other fields that the Django user model does not allow for. So in that case, we are going to have a one-to-one relationship between them. So let's say I want to be able to log in or authenticate myself in this project we are having. So what I'm going to do is, first, I'm going to import the Django user model. Yeah, so from Django. Okay, so also we need to do something because Django advises us to set our user model in our settings.py. So most times you would be required to do that because you can change your model anytime. You can set another user model that you don't want, but that can not be for authentication. So Django advises us to set our auth user model. So if you go to Django documentation, check auth user model. Please, if you don't understand, at any point you don't understand, because I realize I'm a bit technical right now, like I'm talking about techniques. We are going in depth into Django. So if you know that you don't understand, please call my attention back to that. I will explain better. So this is Django's custom authentication, blah, blah, blah. So you can see we have extending the existing user model. But if you read through this documentation, you would see that it says that you can only extend it. You can only extend it before your first migration. So yeah, so this is what I was talking about, auth user model, because you can obviously have your own user model. I just wanted to show you this. Then when you are calling the what's it called? When you are calling your user or when you are referencing the user, so you have to import the get user model or from settings. So just do this sometime. So let's do this. Let's copy out this one. And oh yeah. So no, okay, so I need to, since I am not, you most likely will not understand yet. Since I am not really coding, I am just seeing these things. I'm not really showing you an image of it yet. I'm just really talking. So you most likely will not get this at first. That's why, like I said, I really wanted us to move into Zoom to make this a little bit more interactive. But just stick with me for now, and I will explain better. User profile, something like this. We most likely will not even use this till we are talking about authentication. I just wanted to clear this out of the way. So this will have user equals models of one-to-one field. They are setting the user model. Then, oh, you know what? Let's do this. The user is a firefly. So let's just do this. So I'm going to have this. I'm going to have this here. So yes, so there is no name as of now. There's no name as of now. We can only do that when we create a user like when we are trying to create a user. So, but I'll go into details later. So, what else were we trying to do? So, give me a second, please. Okay, I'm trying to add them to the admin. So someone said, so is there someone that at this point they don't understand anything I am saying? So I'll just go over everything I said. Because what I explained that might seem foreign to you is the one-to-one relationship and the many-to-many relationship. The one-to-many relationship should be familiar. You should be familiar with them at this point. So is there something else that I said that you do not understand? Please, if there is something, please call my attention to it. So I'm just going to, okay. Let's take out this guy for now. So let's leave the name. Okay, don't understand anything. Okay, so where do I like what exactly do you understand the models part, like how a model is a class and the relationship that exists between models? So I think what I'll do is because today's class is almost over, what I'll do is tomorrow, dude, I think instead of talking a little bit about code, like coding them, because I think we've already coded them. So instead of coding them, I will explain a bit of the technical aspects of models, database relationship, because since a lot of people are coming from a non-technical world, I think that is like the mistake I've been making so far in this class. Since a lot of people are coming from the non-technical world, things like database and database relationships might seem foreign, and I totally understand. If I don't know anything about database, or if I was coming from a non technical background, I would be lost myself. So I think from this point, I need to be a bit more non-technical. So let's talk about databases themselves. Let's talk about the databases themselves. So the database, yeah, because models have to do with databases mostly, because you are working with data and different types of database. So a database is an organized collection of structured information. It stores our data. Django allows for different types. So we have different types of databases. We have SQL databases and we have NoSQL databases. SQL databases structures our data in forms of tables. So we have tables. A table is like a table is a row and a column, obviously. So we have rows and columns. Now, a column represents a field. So let's think of a user that has the field name, first name, last name, age, address, or something like that. So our database will be sort of, let me see if I can draw on this guy. Let me have a blank pencil and draw. So as you can read from now, you'll be doing a lot of reading yourself if you are coming from a non-technical background, because if I was to take everything on databases and models and their relationship, we most likely will spend 2 weeks on this topic itself and not moving on to any other thing. So you most likely will be reading up a lot of things yourself. So I reckon you start with this link because it goes over a lot of things. You can see we have relational databases, we have graph databases, we have NoSQL databases. We have lots of them. But the two basic ones you'll be needing is for now is relational and non-relational databases. So let me just talk a little bit on relational database. So a relational database is store our it specifies relationship between the entities in our database. So our database have relationship between them. So you can think of something like a social media now, like Facebook, where a user have like friends. There's a relationship between two users. Now, a user can make a post. There's a relationship between a user and a post. Now, a post can have a comment. There's a relationship between a post and a comment. A user can make a comment. There's a relationship between a user and a comment. So if you look at it, big applications or bigger applications have more complex relationships between them. So we can specify those relationships, and using something like a relational database is good for things like that, because we can just write a simple query for us to join lots of tables together. Now, NoSQL databases, we have something like MongoDB. So MongoDB is a NoSQL database. You don't specify relationships between them. They don't have tables themselves. So they are just there. MySQL or MySQL is a relational database or an SQL database. So we have MySQL, we have Postgres, we have SQLite 3. All these are relational databases, and Django makes do with relational databases because Django has an ORM, an object relational mapper that works with relational databases. So you should just then, okay, so on relationships and entities, okay, you should, because these are things that you should go over. So I think for the remainder of this class, I think for the remainder of this time, I will just talk about entities and relationships. I think that's actually where the basis of this class should be, because you need to understand, and I think it will be a bit of a refresher also for me. But okay, yeah, I think this is a good name for that. Okay, so I used to have one link like that, but I've forgotten the website. So I used to have one link like that. Okay, so I think, okay, let's just go over this and I will explain it more with. So entities are defined as tables that hold specific information. So I think we've gone over this. So a table that holds specific. So I want you to picture, as I'm going through this, I want you to picture just a simple user, because that is like the most common entity we have in almost all applications. There's always a user, or there's almost always a user in every project or every application or every system. So you can think of an entity as a table that holds specific information. So the table holds data. Now, a user can have attributes. So the attribute of a user can be the name of the user, the age of the user, the height, the race, background, things like this, the origin, things like this. So that is an attribute. Now, the relationship are defined as the interaction between entities. So entities in the database, they interact with each other. They interact with each other. So, like I mentioned earlier, a post, or let's say, so let's take a social media application now. We have a post and a user. The user has a relationship with the post. The user can make a post. A post has a relationship with the comments. A post can have one or many comments. A comment can have a relationship with a post and a user. That means a comment can belong to a post, or can belong to a post, and a comment can also be made by a user. That is the relationship that exists. So now let's take this this guy. Let's take this simple. So we have many, okay, one is students. So these symbols here that are like many to many, one to many. Okay, I think let's go over relationship before we come back to this, because here I specified the relationship. So let's go back and come back to that. Okay, so an entity is an object in real world with an independent existence that can be differentiated from other objects. So I think we've talked a little bit about entities. So the rest you can, it's now independent entities. They are not dependent on any other entities. They are building blocks of a database. The primary key may be simple or composite. I don't know how to explain all this, but because okay, so let's go to attributes. Then you see a little bit. Okay, so each entity is described by a set of attributes. Employee has name, address, birth date, and salary. Like I mentioned, I think I've already talked a bit about this too, but each attribute has a name and is associated with an entity and a domain of legal values. The information about attribute domain is not presented on the ERD. Yeah, so this is an ERD. And I think, yeah. So this is an ERD. So an employee has name, address, birth date, and salary. So this is just a simple ERD here. So we have types of attributes. We have simple attributes. So they are directly from the entity themselves. Can everyone hear me? Hello? Okay, are users of the website created by extending user model? Are users of a website created by extending user model, e.g. Gmail, or is just a model set up in models? I don't think I understand this question. Are users of a website created by extending user model? Okay, so how to create a user in Django? Let's say you are working with Django. Now, the reason why I'm specifying, let's say you are working with Django, because for Django, it is different. The authentication, because Django has like so many built-in things for you. You don't have to rewrite so many things. It has so many out-of-the-box functionalities. You are not creating so Django has a user model for authentication itself, which is this guy, this model here. So I think I have a basis for what tomorrow's class would be. I'm talking a lot about models now. So this is what's this table here. This is the Django user model. This is like each of these objects here is part of the Django user model. So this is what Django uses. So let's say we want to build an authentication system. This is what we use to build our authentication model system, a user in the Django user model. But the Django user model is limited to what we can store because it already has fields, pre-filled fields already. So we have username as a field. We have all these fields here. All these guys at the left-hand side of this page are the fields. The username, the password, the first name, the last name, the email, and the rest, groups permission, last login, this joined. They are fields for our user model. We cannot store any other. So let's say we want to store, and let's say, okay, our application now, it needs data from a user like age, hobbies. We can't store them in Django user model. We can only store them in another table. So we will create another table. So let's say we'll call the table user age, hobbies, heights, things like that. So now the relationship between this user, because obviously we would have to link them, because there we are just storing other fields or other attributes that cannot be in this user model. So there has to be a relationship between it, because this is just storing all the information about the user. So this is what contains the password, the username for that user, the email, the first name, the last name. So there has to be a relationship sort of between this user table and the user profile we are creating. And the user profile we are creating and this user table will have a one-to-one relationship. A user profile will only belong to one user, and a user will only have one user profile. That is the one-to-one relationship. A user will have one user profile, and one user profile must have only one user or must belong to only one user. So that is basically just the relationship we have between these two, the user and the user profile. So if you are building an authentication system, we would need to use the Django user model. But if you are wanting to store, or we are needing to store additional fields for our user, we would have a separate table called a user profile that will have a one-to-one relationship. So that is like the relationship that would exist between user and the user profile. So in Django, we can only specify 3 types of relationship: the user one-to-one relationship, the many-to-many, and the one-to-many or the many-to-one relationship. So I suggest everyone should actually look more into relationship, because that might be the only thing that will be confusing when talking about models, because the rest are a bit explanatory in themselves. I've talked about in the videos, I've talked about how to work with CRUD, how to create, read, update, and delete data, how to also add data in our admin panel. And okay, so let's just finish this by adding these guys to the admin. So I've created a user model and a super user. So Python, I need to make migrations. So to make everything easy, I would look for a link that explains a lot about these things, like relationships, entities, and the rest. Okay, I think I've found one. So Stora's point has like, okay, so let me just finish this. Manage SPY migrates. So we applied our migrations, and we should be able to add them. Okay, no. From Django, okay. Okay, so there is a decorator. There is a register decorator. Now, if you watch the video, I use the method to register my models, but there is an admin decorator. So at admin.register, so you have to import from models, import that's why am I getting like that? Okay. The reason why I'm getting that is because I need to have like a model admin. So class Firefly admin. I think it's admin.model admin. Admin dot the admin the model admin. I forgot to let me check the documentation for that. So the Django admin site is very wide. It is not, yeah, admin the model admin. Yeah, correct. So lists underscore view. So I'll explain what this does. Okay, so before I have like the list view, let me use pass. Okay, so let's go over to our admin site. Can everyone still hear me? So I will reload. My server still running. Oh, model. Okay. So we have Firefly here. So let's say we add a Firefly. Name fire. Sorry, I don't know why I thought of that name, but color red. Size. What's the size? An integer. Character field. Okay. Extra big weight is okay. 30 kg. Speed. Miles per hour. How do they MPH? Lifespan 2 years. Let's do all this. Okay, no. I don't think I specified null and blank. So and Spitfire. So let's just save this. Now we have Firefly here. So that is just the name. That is what we can see. So let's say we create another one here. So let's just do by random values. I don't have chance to think of. Let's just give these guys random values. Sorry, because our time is going so fast. So save. Now we have two fireflies here. But let's say we want to what's it called? We want to modify our admin sites. And one of the things we want to do is we want to specify a list view. So we have something called a list view where we can specify the attributes here, the attributes of that model here in the model panel, in the model output here, in the model view. So you can do that by coming here, setting what we call a list display, a list underscore display. So let's make this a tuple, and our list display will have all this. So let's say we don't want to include these guys. So let's see what happens. So reload, and can you see the difference? So we have the attributes of the models of those objects rather that are created here in this space. So we can modify our admin panel as we see fit. Django does not let us discriminate. We can also modify this. So I think that's like just a simple demonstration of this. So here I use the decorator, the register decorator here. So when you are specifying the register decorator, you should also have like a class, a model admin for that particular model. So I think we have just a minute left. So is there any question? So please, if you don't understand, you can just watch the video again rather. Then tomorrow, okay, so I mentioned that I saw a link before and I was not able to go over the BIM. So this is the link, the tutorials for what's an entity relationship model in DBMS. So you can check out this link to read more on database relationships and stuff like that. So it's actually a very wide topic, database relationship and entities and the rest. But for Django, the truth is we don't really need all of these like in full detail in Django itself as a Django developer. But as a backend developer, you need to understand this concept. You need to understand the concept of the database and this thing, because there are times that you not only will be working with Django or an SQL database. So you need to have this knowledge. What's the difference between an admin and a user? An admin. Oh, you mean like, okay, I guess you mean like a super user. So the super user, I believe like these two guys. So this one just has, so the difference between these two guys is that this one just has tab status. So as you can see, this one that I created using like on the terminal, the shell, Python shell, the create super user command has this green thing here. And this one does not have anything, just has the red. So it's just showing that this is the start. So this guy can access the Django panel. So in websites, there's always an admin site. There's always an admin panel that allows you to create data, modify data, and stuff like that. So let's take jury board, for example, now. There is probably an admin site, or there's an admin panel that only very few people have access to. So the admin site, the admin can actually check all the details about a particular user or a particular student. So they can check their number of submissions and things like that. So every project, every website, or most websites, they have like an admin panel where a user can log in and modify data in the database and send emails and stuff like that. So the person that has an access to that admin panel is an admin of the site. So the person just has tab status and admin status. So there are some permissions. So if you look at this page, we have some permissions here that you can set for a user. So you can see. So if I want to give this guy all the access in my application, I can set all this. So I can just give this guy all the permission, choose all. So this guy already has the permission to view user, delete permission, view log entry, and the rest. So that's just it. So I can save, and that's just it. So yeah. So tomorrow will be, I said we'll talk about so just give me a second. Let me see if there is another mentor that has like a class. No. So let's just, so like I promised at the start of the class, I was going to use to show how am I able to use my Django admin portal in dark mode. It's the only light mode. I don't know. I think mine has always been, I can't even remember. Mine has always been in dark mode. I think it's because of my settings, my system settings or something like that. I can't even remember. But I think for as long as I can remember, I think it's the dark mode I've always been using now. I don't know, I can't remember honestly. Okay, so since I promised I was going to, let me just quickly show you the environment variables using pipenv. Then tomorrow I'll show you how to use the .env. So so I'm going to delete this, then run the pipenv shell command. So I just going to wait for a brief moment. So oh yeah, I think you should just check the, so is there any question before we end? So now if you notice, this just created or activated our virtual environment. It has already created, it just activates our virtual environment. It is not loading any environment variable, it's not loading anything. But let's have the .env file. We are obviously going to, okay, let me run it now again. Exit with shell. So you should see loading exactly. So it is loading this alongside the while activating your virtual environment. So I'm just going to go to the settings.py file. Where's my settings.py file? So I'm going to import something called OS. So OS is a Python library that allows us to do some computation like that. So where is, I'm looking for, okay, let me take this out. Let me take this, okay, let's say the ball should be, so I have my secret key there. So let's go back to the env and set debug to debug should be equal to true here. And then we go over to our settings.py. So we've imported OS. Now what I want to do is I'll come here and use os.get env. os.getIn, then secrets underscore key. os.getIn debug. Now, this would run, but it's not going to run because we are setting okay, no, this will give us an error rather. Silly fireflies. And that is because we do not have these guys working as of now. When our virtual environment loaded when our virtual environment loaded or activated and loaded the env, there was nothing for debug. It only found secret key because we just added debug. So when we run our server, it will work, but we would get that debug error. So if I run it, we'll get that debug error. So make sure that when you want to activate your virtual environment, oh, forgot that we didn't have Django installed. Oh, it's a new virtual environment. I forgot that we didn't have Django installed. Oh, I'm thinking, let me check the schedule. I was going to wait for it to load. Can everyone still hear me, just to be sure? So you can see it's created a pip file for us with the packages. Okay, so we are seeing these packages because I need to clean up my PBM. So I think this package is because it's using a cached version. I don't know where it's seen the cached version though, but so it has all these packages. Then you can see your pip file. Why is it taking time to download Django? Is my internet connection? Yes, you have to install Django anytime you create a new. It's installing it into the virtual environment. So basically, you have to install Django anytime you create the virtual environment. Okay, no more name environment, obviously. So I believe you can guess why that error is happening because we installed environment in the other virtual environments, not this virtual environments. Exactly. So this was what I was saying, that we are not going to get the secret key error, but we'll get the debug error because here we don't have any value for debug. What did we even say about debug in the end? So we don't have any value for debug. We are getting a debug and we are not getting anything. It's returning false, obviously, because the debug here is not using the debug here. It didn't load the debug. attributes, or the debug variable, not attribute, debug variable. So what we have to do for it to work is we just have to exit. So our virtual environments can load all our env and now run server. So this should work. Okay, next to the file applies. Okay, so exactly. So now it works. So if you go over to this and reload, everything still works the way we want it to. So that is just how to use your virtual in there, your env, load your env variables with people. So tomorrow I'll most likely be showing how to use the for the Django environment. So you can see this one, we don't need to stress ourselves. We just have to call this, and now our secret key is no longer in our code. So if I push this to GitHub, my secret key is not there. So I hope you understand now. So thank you all for joining. It has really been an exhilarating class. Am I even pronouncing it? I suck at pronouncing. I think I've mentioned it before. So thank you all for joining, and I hope it wasn't too difficult. If it was, please still watch the videos, and you can reach out to me on Slack. Please don't send me a DM. You can tag me in the channel. My DM is a mess right now. I have tons of messages I have not even attended to. So please just tag me in the channel and I'll respond. Thank you all for joining, and do have a lovely weekend. Oh no, sorry, this is start of the week. But do have a lovely day. Bye.